Thanks for joining us on the RP Experience. I'm your host, Andrew Regenhardt, and today we have one of our amazing preferred partners, Christin Taylor with Cross Country Mortgage, and one of our top producing agents, Denny Bowers with Compass. Welcome to have you guys on here. On that note, let's dive right in. So, Christin, do you want to start out? Give us a little introduction to who you are and then why you invited Denny on here.
Sure. My name is Christin Taylor, formerly Christin Luckman. I'm originally from Illinois. I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, went to the University of Illinois where I got a bachelor's degree, and then I moved to downtown Chicago where I started in residential lending business. Built my business in Chicago and got very, very tired of taking my dog outside in the snow. So I started being a young snowbird and started coming back and forth to Naples in 2015. So it would come for a week, and then the week would become 2 weeks. 2 weeks would become 2 months, and then started also doing business in Naples. I eventually decided to make a full-time move. My husband and I now live here full-time, and he's my business partner at Cross Country. We work together as a team to service our clients both in the sand and in the snow.
Well, glad you could be on here with us and appreciate your support. You've actually been with Real Producers for a long time. She's been up in Chicago, Real Producers, and was able to switch down here when she made the move. So congratulations on that. So now you invited Denny Bowers with Compass here. So Denny, if you don't mind, give us a little lowdown on who you are.
I paid her.
Yeah, you slid that 20 underneath there, right?
So Denny Bowers, I moved actually from outside of Pittsburgh in the mountains, and I went to school at a school called Slippery Rock University in north of Pittsburgh, and went undergrad. I interned down here in 2000, so Naples was a very different place in 2000. Went back to grad school, and then they ended up hiring me out. So I studied exercise physiology. Doesn't look like it now as much as it did then, but I worked at the Wellness Center for the hospital for 3 years full time, ran some programs for them there, taught some classes, different things of that nature. And then in 2005, in the start of the craze, the first craze, one of my clients told me to get into real estate and sales, and that was basically the rest is history. So I've been in the industry since 2005, but grew up in the mountains and very, very small town, and then transitioned here to Paradise. So
Yeah. Now, do you want to go back ever?
no, I like to visit.
Yeah.
I like to visit. I'm flying up in like 3 days, but it'll be good. 3-day, 4-day visit, and then come back. It's
Quick
a great
trip.
place to be from.
Hey, agreed. I actually love Wisconsin, but and it's hidden gem. Like people that have never experienced Wisconsin, I think in the summer, they should. It's a beautiful area, but I don't want to go back, especially in the winters, unless we're like going out and snowmobile and ice fish and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, for a week. It's great.
Yeah, and then you come back here to thaw out. Christin, let's talk about you and your success. Obviously, you did build a big business down there, and as well as down here. So tell us a little bit, just like get people up to speed and what a day in a life for Christin is.
Okay. Well, I guess every day looks a little bit different. I will say that a lot of people find success in this industry, whether they're in real estate, mortgage, insurance, appraisers, attorneys. Maybe time blocking their day and having certain, regimented parts of the day. And other people, just kind of have to go with the flow. And I think I kind of fall somewhere in the middle. So there are certain things that are non-negotiable for me every day. I do try to get in a workout of some sort every single day. And I have to get it done in the morning. Otherwise, it does not get done. So maybe it's tennis. I like reformer Pilates a lot, yoga, Pure Barre. Things of that nature. I have tried to learn how to golf, and I think it is hopeless for me. So I'm sure my husband, kind of like wants me to be out there having fun, but I am much, much better at just, riding around the cart and hanging out with friends and having fun versus turning pro.
I was going to say golf is a unique one. You either kind of have it or you don't. And even when you have it, it's just a constant struggle of trying to become better. Like it's just, every day is a struggle there.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess after I kind of like get my workout and get my day going, start with the coffees, which, also a non-negotiable for me. I sort of set up my team's day, and then obviously I have certain appointments, things like where I need to be out there face to face. It was a struggle for me during COVID to not be meeting people face to face. I think it was really hard.
That was a tough one.
because it's like you can't really plan an event. You can't have an event. And part of how I've built my business and gotten people to trust me and want to work with me is being able to see them and not just talk to them on the phone. So it's, that kind of then the day spirals from there. And then, it's just kind of like figuring out what, I need to balance in terms of the internal process flow with my team and then the external appointments with clients and referral partners who I'm working with.
I want to dive into kind of a little bit more technical question on this one with closing costs. It's always someone that's not in the realm of real estate always has that question like, what is the closing cost going to be? And obviously there's a lot of factors and there's a lot of information. Can you give us kind of a broad overview to listeners that might not fully still understand where those different factors come into play when figuring out a closing cost?
Okay. Is this a question more for
I guess
or
both
for both
sides,
okay.
Inside on. Yeah.
Okay. I think in terms of, I can speak more to the buyer closing costs versus
lender, buyer, lender.
And then you do seller. Okay.
Seller,
Yeah. So a buyer has to, first of all, be aware of the lender that they're dealing with and that lender understands the market where they're purchasing. So for example, some lenders, they can only do loans in like one state. Other lenders can do loans in all states. I choose to do loans in the states where, I personally am licensed, where I understand the market and the closing costs so that I'm providing a very transparent detail of, what the breakdown is. So what a buyer can expect to pay, at a just very high level is there's going to be lender fees for underwriting and processing of the loan. Those are going to vary from one lender to the next. Those fees are also going to vary depending on what program a buyer is choosing, as well as all the variables, that impact that buyer, such as their credit score and their down payment and other, maybe the interest rate that they're selecting comes with the rate buy down and things like that. So they're going to have points. Second thing is the third party cost. So vendors such as the appraiser, the home inspector, which is usually before, the closing, obviously, maybe if they have an attorney in an attorney state that they're having represent them. And then there's also fees to the municipality. So title company, county that they're purchasing in, there's going to be transfer stamps and things of that nature. Florida in particular has a higher closing cost than Chicago, for example. So I have a lot of clients that are buying their, vacation home or their retirement home or rental properties, maybe in Florida, whereas previously they're used to the Illinois closing costs and they're kind of having a little bit of a sticker shock because they're seeing, especially in Collier County, the costs are higher. So I think it just really goes back to it's going to be different for every transaction.
Yeah.
But there's things that we can dial in to kind of like provide a very good estimate up front so that people aren't surprised.
Which is so critical. And correct me if I'm wrong, from the outside looking in, I'm not in that industry. It's not a one-stop shop. There's all this different things on the menu to choose from, and it's all customizable and it's all dependent on, X different factors. And that's the thing about it. It's like trying to say like, well, what down to the penny, what's that car worth? Well, I don't know. There's a lot of factors that go into it, right? There's so many. So I think people just assume they're like, oh, well, what's the closing cost going to be? It's probably just a standard, this amount. It's like, no, there's a lot going on. So that's great. Denny, you want to tell us a little bit?
No, so I think it's, touching on that too. And that's one of the things on our side is making sure that the buyers just see a sales price, period. They don't even, especially a first-time buyer, or newer to it or haven't done it in forever, then that changes. So you need an additional monies to pay the closing costs to come in. So, the one set thing in the state of Florida is, on a seller side, if you're paying doc stamps, it's 70 cents for every $100 of the contract. So that's a standard no matter what. So people can do that math pretty easily. And then
most people can't.
Yeah, right.
we got our phones for the calculator, right?
Ask Siri, she'll figure it out. But so that's the one standard. And then, as Christin said, it's if you use a title company versus an attorney, you're gonna have a slight fluctuation on that. Just could be $100, $300, something like that. But and then standard is 6% in commissions. And that's split, and that just depends on the agent you're using and if there's credits or not credits or whatnot. So on a general rule of thumb, I tell people that are selling a house, if you estimate 7% off, that does not include if there's HOAs that are due or taxes and things like so. Proration of taxes. If you get down to the penny, then we're in arrears state, meaning that the taxes come at the end of the year. So if you sell something and it closes October 15th, you calculate the days back to January 1st, and you're responsible to credit the buyer as a seller that amount of money. So that's a higher fee later on in the year. So it just simple things like that. And then Christin definitely touched on it on a buyer side. So credit score. If they are prepaying, you can prepay to buy down an interest rate, or so that'll make your costs higher, but it makes your interest rate lower. And there's a bunch of different factors.
There's a lot, and I think really the main thing that I've always done since the very beginning, when I was first working, with new buyers, is like being the person that overestimates on the closing costs from the beginning, so that when somebody's actually seeing their final numbers, they're like, oh my God, you just put money back in my pocket. Yeah. And then they're really, really feel very comfortable. So it's always much better with some of these things. We use some technology and some software that gives us, like prices and things to input for the closing costs and the initial loan estimates and things like that. But I think it's really important. Something that, in terms of seller closing costs that we need to know as a lender a lot of times is, hey, does that seller really know like what their net proceeds are going to be when they sell? Because they're probably buying something else. And a lot of times people really kind of, maybe they overestimate what they're taking away from a sale.
I see overestimate more than underestimate all the time.
And so
they're like, I'm rich. And you're like, whoa.
Right. So when we're qualifying someone, they might say, oh, we think we're netting, like say it's $100,000, and then we're putting down $100,000. So it's like, okay, but what about, are you really netting 100, or is it 100 minus your realtor commissions and your seller closing costs? And then, let's remember your buyer closing costs. So sometimes we really have to, dial it in and make sure that we're just communicating up front. Hey, don't forget, you're going to have fees on both sides of the transaction. Yeah. Maybe let's look at these numbers, in a little more detail, so that we don't have a nasty surprise in the middle of the new purchase contract.
And I think too, you hit the nail on the head that most business owners should probably do is under promise and over deliver, right? Like that's people are getting too I don't know, optimistic, I guess, and promising way more, right? I mean, you probably do this a lot, right? When you get a call, someone that calls you and it's like, hey, I want to buy tomorrow. And you're like, okay, well, let me set you straight here. Yeah. It's a little interesting market, X, Y, and Z. And they're like, well,
the sale and buy side is where I'm really seeing and everything plays a part of this but people that, I have X amount of equity in my house right now, and they never look at closing costs with that as a seller. And then going to buy something and just trying to juggle through that. So, and I think that's where, now everybody starts somewhere. So, Christin started with no experience. I started with no experience in real estate, and we got to where we are today. But when you have a market like we're in now, which I know we're going to touch on, but the newbies that come in, it's such a different market. And as a consumer, it's just where you have to cross your T's and dot your I's before you hire anybody, because there's so many people that are just hungry for a paycheck.
Oh my gosh.
And they have no clue what the actual ins and outs of everything are, all these different things. So, just on closing cost example, there's 25 moving parts that we already discussed, and there's more than that. Yeah. But it's just
and we just did high level. We just touched the surface. Yeah.
So it's interesting, and I think that's the biggest thing as a consumer is just knowing who you're working with and being able to fully trust and be informed prior to making a decision.
Yeah. I think it's kind of also, I don't know if you guys ever see like where people post a photo of maybe it's like them or selfie or them and their family, and it's like the Instagram versus reality.
Oh yeah.
Right. And, you see maybe it's like me on a photo where I have no makeup on and I've just like gotten done playing tennis and it's 90 degrees out. And then it's like, but on Instagram, like I have a full face of makeup and I'm like wearing like a cute little outfit. Yeah. So I think social media can really steer people sometimes in the wrong direction, because there's a lot of like people that make things seem a lot more attractive than they might appear in terms of like a real estate agent who maybe they look really nice and they look really cute, but they don't, they're not like doing the things that Denny is doing behind the scenes to make sure that the numbers are correct and the seller is really,
Right.
comfortable and protected
And it all
and
comes
things
from
like
experience. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just
Putting in the work. I mean, Denny looks
sure.
really good though, so
look,
he's got
average.
both sides,
Yeah.
right?
So it's, but I think it is. It's a, we all learn, and there's still things to this day that are new. It's a new experience for me after 15 years, but
So that's why I don't mean to interrupt you, but we started really diving into mortgages, and it was I didn't want to interrupt the conversation, but we got to tell the listeners who you are, right? I mean, obviously you gave us the backstory, but he's a top producing agent at Compass, and so give us a little update on your real estate career, how long you've been in it, where you're currently sitting. I mean, and you got an amazing team with you, so just get the listeners up to speed here.
So I started when I said earlier, started in 2005. I sold on-site sales. For a production builder.
Mm-hmm.
They went out of business. I got into construction. I did some sales and project management for 2 different luxury builders in town. And it's really what kind of built the base for me to get back into general real estate.
Mm-hmm.
And I did both construction, and this is very high level, but I did both construction and real estate in 2012 through 15. And at the end of 2015, I switched just to general real estate in 2016. So, and at that time, it was just me. I know you've had Rob Maselli on before and Tony Gretsch, so 2 really good buddies still. And we were all together at McQuaid, and we just we worked together collectively. And in 2018, I made the switch to Compass. And Compass was... I saw a bigger picture of a national firm, and I know that Compass is big in Chicago too. So Christin has a lot of connections with Compass there in Chicago. So I saw more on a referral basis, I could help friends in other areas with setting up with somebody that's successful, knows what they're doing, all these things that we talked about already. And since I joined Compass, they really pushed me into forming a team, and it was a definite learning curve because Rob and Tony and I worked together and collaborated together, but it wasn't like a team with people underneath you. It was all we were all more partners than we were a team. So now
Throwing the ball sideways kind of thing, like here, you grab that one, or whatever. Yeah.
And now it's like then it's becoming more the principal agent and having people in here. So it's been a learning curve, but I feel that we've got a really good system in place now. So we went from $20 million a year in sales to this year we're under contract or sold $95 million, and we just acquired a team from Sotheby's that I worked with before, and Pam Marr and Molly Begor, and they have 2 others that came on board under me, and they bring $50 million. So collectively we're about $150 million for 2021. That's so
amazing,
which is a crazy jump, but it's been a fun ride, and it's navigating this market, but that's where we are today.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Can you put the reader or the listeners into context? What was the standard offer that most people would come in prior to this?
So
insane
18 months ago, if we go back to start of 2020, so end of 2019, start of 2020, my standard rule of thumb was that if it's been on the market longer than 2 weeks, it'll be 5 to 6% off of asking. That's standard. So you'd probably get somebody that offer you 8% off of asking. You'd negotiate to 5 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty standard across the board.
Cool. You got the house. Congratulations. Let's move forward.
That's it.
Right?
Now, if it's on the market 2 weeks, you're basically paying full price.
Right.
Or maybe a % under if it makes it 2 weeks. But if it's on the market less than a week, you got to be. I mean,
you just said 4% over, right? And you're saying prior, you might end at 6% lower. When you put in perspective what the price of these homes are, that 10% change, that's a massive change.
Crazy change.
We're talking on $1 million, $100,000, right? I'm no mathematician.
Yeah,
Make sure I'm doing
10%.
that right. Right? At $2 million, which is not unheard of here in Naples, $200,000. That's a lot of money to be a difference, right?
And then you factor in when you bring in a mortgage aspect of it, and jumbo loans and things of that. So like with the appreciation that has happened, and that's where you have to look at because you get into a jumbo loan, and then what's typically that? That's a % and some change higher
For the rates?
for rates, ish, roughly.
Well, like, not with me necessarily, and I can't really get into talking, about rates specifically. But what's really like the main, I guess, difference with the jumbo right now is that underwriting requirements have gotten a lot more strict, and especially with self-employed borrowers. So you have a lot of buyers out there that maybe they definitely think they qualify for that jumbo loan, but maybe their income changed because of the pandemic and they had a temporary decline, and we have to explain around all of that. So there's just a lot more challenges for.
And it's 548, right?
Yeah, it's 548, 251 and above for a jumbo. So where we're at,
Like everything's a jumbo.
it's exactly.
So that's the challenge, because then you get into all those aspects that she said is. And so then again, that's the creativity, that's the navigation part of.
So then at like a 700, you're like, all right, can you put the cash down so that you can come in at under
so 20% would be 140.
Yep.
But that gets you to 560. So you actually have to bring.
Yeah.
So
you got to bring more.
152.
Yeah.
Is what you'd have to bring to.
Yep.
So again, and that those are nuances that you deal with every day, and as with an appreciating market and low inventory.
All right. You guys, obviously, we've been diving in a lot about work. There's got to be something that you guys have a passion for, a hobby that is outside of work. Family man, right? Obviously, you're running around probably super busy. Let's touch on both of you guys and just what you like to do outside of work.
So I'll jump in. So married. My wife and I have been married November 16 years. So met her down here. We have a 13-year-old, 11-year-old daughters. So 6th and 8th grade. And, we travel a decent amount. So we take a number of trips every year. Most as families, Erica and I try to do one trip a year just to make sure that, we still love each other. We tell our kids, like, we existed before you guys did. So we got, this is something we do.
Right.
And so we went to Aspen last week for, a week, and was awesome without the kids. But so we travel. And how Christin and I met was at Quail Creek. So we're members at Quail Creek Country Club. So she lives in there, and we belong in there. And so golf, enjoying family time there. So we'll try to go out and play 9 holes or 6 holes or whatever it is with the kids, and boating, and just outside. Why everybody's moving to Naples?
Right.
But
It's beautiful.
We love to travel, and then golf and boating and beach, and those would probably be the biggest aspects of it in our world.
Well, I'm going to throw my plug in there that I like to golf. So let's get out there sometime.
We can do that.
I love it. What about yourself?
A lot of similar stuff. Quail Creek obviously has been a community where we've been spending a lot of time, like whether that's, tennis, fitness, golf, me riding in the cart, Kirk being the golfer.
Or even drinking at the bar.
Having a few cocktails at the bar. We like to go up there, as a family. Kirk and I actually got married in, what year was that? 2020. So
last year, right?
got scheduled and then rescheduled again. So we got married November of 2020 at La Playa. It was
nice.
when the unexpected tropical storm was rolling into town I was getting my makeup done. So that was interesting. And then Kirk has a daughter, Clara. She's in 3rd grade. And so a lot of times, Thursday nights we like to go up as a family, have, dinner up at the clubhouse. So it's very fun to be in a community where there's a lot of really, really great people.
And it's cool there too.
members.
And it's a plug. This is like a Quail Creek informational or something. But there's a ton of young members there. So they did a really young membership drive, associate membership drive years ago. And a lot of people similar to us with kids. And so there's nights that it's all, 60% families. And in Naples, you don't see that a whole lot. So, and the kids, after they eat, they'll go out and they'll play on the bocce court. So they'll, run around, and it's a pretty cool place.
It's been
not
cool.
a bunch of
They
wheelchairs.
So there's a bunch there. So.
I mean, that's Naples. We're not got to get around there.
But no, they have, big Halloween party and holiday events and things that are family friendly, which is nice because, when you're like rolling up in your golf cart and everybody is like twice your age and there's no other kids around, then like who are your kids going to play with and, enjoy themselves with? They have like a lot of camps and other programs and stuff like that. Additionally, we do go to Chicago not as much, I guess, within the last 18 months. But my mom lives up there. My brother's up there. I have 2 nieces and then a newborn nephew. So
Wow.
my family's still there. And then my cousins have recently bought a place, like within the last 5 years on Marco Island. So sometimes we'll go down there, do swimming, do beach day, jet skiing, boating, just, being outside, being active and making the most of this. And then, I am tied to my phone though. So,
We
it
all
is
are, right?
24/7. It's kind of like,
I get in trouble with that. So
Oh, all the time. I'm just
but,
like,
yeah, finding the balance and
and the thing is, the beauty of all of our businesses is that, we have unlimited vacation, right? But it's not actually vacation because even when we're gone, we're all somehow, still checking emails and working, right? Because we're all on dates. We're not when we have that time off that we'll pick up when we get back. Like it doesn't happen that way. So it's an interesting one. Well, I am going to end it here with the speed round because we're running out of time. All right. So this is a fun little section that we do, our segment at the end, and it is our speed round. So, all right, it's going to be a round of just would you rather questions. Listeners and audience here, they do not know what we're asking them, so we'll be putting them on the spot here. First one is very appealing to both of you guys, and I think I already know the answer, but would you rather be cold and sunny or hot and rainy?
hot and rainy.
hot and rainy.
Cool. Yep. I figured you guys would say that. Now, I will say I lived in Washington State for a second, and that was a lot of rain.
Well, that's like all rain.
Now it was cloudy though, but I was just like, and it wasn't that hot. But man, after that much rain, I was like, all right, I don't want to.
It's different here because we both, I think, answer in the fact that we know if it's cloudy and rain, and in about 3 hours it's going to be sunny.
Yeah, if that. It's usually
It's super temporary.
Yeah, it's usually like 15 minutes of just downpour,
Yep.
and you're like, oh, okay, and now it's sunny again.
Rainbow and sunny, and we're good.
Yep, exactly. All right. Would you rather have every detail of your love life made public or have every detail of your finances made public?
I'd say love life.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd ever want any. I mean, we're all humans, right?
There's not much to hide, but
Right.
I'd say love life.
Yeah.
Because it's all pretty out there anyhow. We are who we are. So.
Yeah, I'd say love life.
Yeah. Finances, it's like no one needs to know any of that. Like,
Yeah.
and I feel like in this world,
That's kind of like one of those 3 things I don't like to talk about. And
Yep.
with other people, too. I don't like to ask people. It is what it is. You do with it what you want and go from there.
would you rather have a personal chef or a personal trainer?
Chef.
Of course, because you are a trainer.
Chef.
Chef?
I think everybody could really.
Can I have both though? Like
You got one right here.
50-50.
But I'm telling you, it's what we put in our mouths is more important than the workout.
80-20, right?
Yeah.
All right. This is would you rather communicate only in emojis or never be able to text at all ever again?
Never text.
Do you hate emojis?
Emojis.
I think emojis can be funny, and then I just get so sick of them
I
all of a
hate
sudden. All right. Last one. Would you rather be invisible or be able to fly?
Fly.
Invisible.
Interesting. Why fly?
Because I would assume I can fly fast and I can get to places
Yeah.
quicker.
Probably.
That's why.
Okay. And invisible?
I think so that I could get information and like listen to things that would
Yeah, better.
help me in some way and help me
Interesting.
develop my knowledge base about things that would maybe give me
An upper hand.
some sort of advantage.
I think I'd kind of do invisible too, but that's also because I was aviation prior, so
Right.
I do fly, but just more of a requirement than me jumping up and going, right? All right, everyone, we are running out of time, but it was an absolute pleasure. I want to
for having
thank you
us.
both. Yes, it's
Thank you
been
so
such a
much.
good time. So, as always, Southwest Florida Real Producers is extremely thrilled to have you all on here, and we're pumped to bring real producers on air. So stay tuned for the next episode. We'll see you guys later.
Thanks.